Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place where we discuss all things usmnt y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host, Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's going on, man?
Hey, dude, how's it going? Top of the morning to you here on a Saturday. Still dealing with the aftermath of that Thursday match. But I want to say thank you to everyone that tuned into the video. Thank you for the views, and we really appreciate the support.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for all the comments and try to get back to everybody who commented. And yeah, appreciate all the views on that one. That one really took off and hit well. On this one, we're going to be previewing the upcoming, I guess, final matches in the Nations League. The third place match between Mexico and Panama, and the all-important final between the two North American teams here, Canada and USMNT. Adrian, man, let's start with the juego molero of the game that no one wants to be a part of, no one wants to play. It's just the game that it's just there for money, for money's sake.
Yeah.
Mexico is going to have you taking on Panama on Sunday before the final. But let's get into our potential lineup here for Mexico and any, I guess, notes we have here. Who do you have starting off? For Mexico on this match, do you have something similar to what we saw them line up against the United States?
Yeah, I mean, I did some research. I was trying to find if there's any sign of what's going to happen on this match. I mean, there's a lot of talk about players being uncomfortable, wanting to leave after this match and whatnot. And I'm not sure if diegococca it's thinking of changing his approach to eltri. You can so I don't really anticipate any big changes, right? Besides the obvious ones like Cesar Montes being replaced by Johan Vasquez because Cesar Montes saw a red card last match. So we're gonna keep it pretty much the same with Ochoa on the goalie. Defense: Jorge Sanchez, my God, Israel Reyes, Johan Vasquez, Victor Guzman, and Jesus Gallardo. Again, you expected to see a different face than Jesus Gallardo, but Gerardo Arteaga saw a red card, so I don't think we're gonna. there's no one else behind Jesus Gallardo. Then on the midfield, we'll have Elson Alvarez and Luis Chavez, and then forwards, Henrymartin, Orbelin Pineda, and Uriel Antuna. So similar approach, 5 defenders with 3 center backs, 2 wings, 2 wing backs, 2 central midfielders, and 3 forwards, with Henrymartin being the striker, and then Orbelin Pineda and Antuna playing on the wings. That's the lineup that I anticipate. I mean, I could be wrong. We can probably see a 3-4-3, but I don't really see how diegococca can change the direction of the boat in a day or two.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go with what he has. There was a lot of after the game. I was watching a lot of ESPN Deportes, Fox Deportes, a lot of the Mexican side of the media here, kind of just to see what they had to say about the team, see what they had to say about diegococca. And we had kind of discussed something similar to that was being discussed amongst the media. This was a complete against the United States. Obviously, I don't want to focus too much against that match. This is a preview for this upcoming match. But against the United States, he played a completely different team than he played against, obviously, Guatemala and Cameroon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of criticism of the Federation and of diegococca. What was the point of those 2 matches if 10 of those players left the practice squad or the concentración and were replaced last minute by 10 of the A-team players who had no time to play together, and he completely showed in that match, right? So here we are a couple days later. Okay, they've been training a couple more days together, but now they don't even. I mean, it seems like the players are just done. They don't even want to be there anymore. That they know this is a pointless third place game. It means nothing to them. It might mean the world to Cocca because if he loses this somehow, that's
He's
probably
out.
it for him, honestly.
Yeah.
Even though they said he has to win one of the Nations League or Gold Cup, I'm sure that they're running completely, thin on patience for him.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, I mean, I just want to share your or echo your comments. It's that I think everyone expected him to win one or the other, but I think the loss against the USMNT was so humiliating that they did just shifting gears. It's like, all right, if you don't make it out unscathed from Panama, you're gone, dude. And there's also talk about even if he wins against Panama, that he's just a dead man walking. I don't know if you noticed, but I was looking at some of the post match, I guess B-roll that they had Diegococca walking on the midfield, and I guess he was expecting the players to go and join him to have like I guess post match
Hmm.
talk, and they decided to have the pep talk without him, and then just go to the locker room and left Diegococca in the middle of the pitch by himself. So I think that at this point in time, it's safe to say that Diego Coca has lost all credibility and buy-in from the players. Even if he had, I don't know if he had any buy-in from the players or credibility with them for the last 4 months. But this is just, a great example that portrays the dire situation where eltri is at right now. I think that the players on the post-match interviews pretty really well exemplified the fact that they don't really know what they're playing, right? They don't know the style, they don't know the approach of the coach. They're not comfortable with the task that he's asking them to do, and it just shows off. It shows that there's just not a good. This is not a good mix and match situation, right? It's just it's a very difficult point in El Tri's history, and I don't really think that the Ococa is a man to steer things clear.
Yeah, there was, obviously talk in the media about this being the lowest point in Adri's history. Definitely the biggest loss to the United States. Maybe not in terms of importance. I still think the 2002 World Cup loss in
Yeah,
Korea Japan was the biggest loss,
agreed.
or the biggest detriment. But that was a more balanced match, right? It was they were even. Here they're saying that this is the biggest loss in terms of humiliation.
Yeah.
Just a 3-0 routing, a match where Mexico looked beaten in every front, physically, tactically, mentally. They were just completely just outplayed that match, and it could have been a lot worse. Pulisic makes that first goal; it's 4-0. And it just there was also mentioned. A lot of people commented on a previous video how this isn't even the USA at their best. This is players having played, very little in Europe at this time and not really being, as sharp as they probably could be. So, I mean, there might be better USA, once they get more playing time. But alas, that's again talking about USA Mexico. We're supposed to be previewing Mexico Panama. How do we see
Yeah.
Panama, man? I mean, Panama obviously came up against the Canada side that hadn't played since the World Cup. Canada started a little slow, but ultimately ended up winning 2-0 comfortably,
Hmm.
I'd say. Panama didn't really, trouble Canada much. Um, you would think that Panama, though, is kind of licking their fingers here, licking their lips, looking at Mexico, saying, you know what, we have a chance. These guys are kind of in the lowest of lows, and if there's ever a chance to make a statement and kind of beat
Yeah.
Mexico after Mexico has kind of tossed us around and bullied us for the past 50 years, whatever, it's now. Do you think there's a chance that Panama can somehow pull this off and just make it worse for Mexico and the Ococa?
All right, man. I'm not gonna pretend that I know anything about the Panamanian soccer in any way whatsoever. I don't really know who the players are or how well they play, right? But I'm surprised to see them at the semifinals on the Nations League and playing against for the third place. I think if we look back in history, this could be the one time they might have to pound back to Mexico. And if I were them, I'll be, I was looking forward for this match. I'll be, even if it doesn't mean anything, right? Because winning a third place doesn't get you anything whatsoever in the Nations League. I think this is they know that Mexico will show up with very low spirits, with not in a very good situation, and if there's a chance for them to make a statement and show Mexico that, hey, for the last, I don't know, 25 years you have been top dog, but now I can challenge you for that third spot. So I think they can take advantage of that and just prolong the ridiculous run that Mexico has had. in this, Final Four for the Nations League.
Yeah, definitely. If there was ever any chance, it's now for Panama. As we wrap up the Mexico/Panama preview here, man, there wasn't much to say. It's a depressing time for Mexican football. But what do you think score wise, prediction wise? I ultimately think Mexico they'll do enough. I see them, going through Panama's roster here. Player for player, they're just better, even if they're playing at a low point. And I don't. Panama will probably make them struggle more so than they made Canada struggle, and it'll be costly for Mexico, but take effort. But I think they'll win it maybe 1-0, 2-1, 2-0. Not a huge score line, but they should win. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I wanna say and believe that they're gonna win, and I think they will. They're probably gonna win, like maybe by a small difference, 1-0, 2-1, something like that. I don't expect a statement win in any way. And even if they win, with a huge score, it's not even a statement win, anyways. So I think Mexico will take a 1-0. But with this pool of players, man, with this coach, how things are, I wouldn't be surprised if Panama comes out of nowhere and then beats the crap out of Mexico. So I'll stay with my 1-0 Mexico.
All right, man. We'll see what happens there. That's probably the least the least important of the two matches here. So
I agreed.
we'll definitely watch it and give our thoughts on that one post match. But definitely, it's the whole ambiente, the whole feeling around Mexico right now. It's at an all-time low, and definitely changes need to be made and implemented if they want to compete moving forward.
Agreed.
We'll see what happens in the Gold Cup. The roster obviously already dropped for that, but yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward. Let's preview here USA Canada, man. Obviously, the final of this match, the final that it's going to be a lot closer, I think, than what people think. A lot more competitive. Obviously, Canada won their previous match against Panama 2-0. Before that, they hadn't played since the World Cup, which they ultimately lost all three of their group stage matches. Remember, that was after the first match against Belgium, when the coach came out and said, "Oh man, we're playing at a top level. We're playing amazing. We should have won that match."
We're gonna F Croatia or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's and then they ultimately got effed by Croatia 4-1 and ended up losing their last match of the group stage 2-1 to
A
Morocco.
reality check.
Reality check, yeah. Granted, that was a tough group. It was a tougher group
Mm-hmm.
than what Mexico had. It was a tougher group than the United States had. But
Agreed.
yeah, I mean, you don't talk shit before a match like that, especially if you can't back it up. This is going to be Canada's first CONCACAF final since winning the Gold Cup in 2000. So they're going to be extra motivated. Just
Yeah.
like the USA is currently in their golden generation, this is Canada's golden generation, definitely.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, they have a lot of quality players we'll get into here in our preview. Let me give an expected lineup for the United States and for Canada, and then we'll discuss, man. For the United States, I'm thinking it's going to be a similar formation. Why change what's broken? BJ Callahan won all our hearts over in this previous match, playing a 4-2-3-1. The only changes are obviously to the red cards. Goalkeeper Matt Turner, undisputed number one at this time.
Yeah.
Defense, Joe Scally replaces the suspended Serginho Dest. And then he keeps the two center backs in Miles Robinson, Chris Richards, and keeps obviously his wing back there, Anthony Jedi Robinson, who I think had a fantastic, stellar game against Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody had a fantastic, stellar game against Mexico. In the midfield, the two holding midfielders are Musa and Luca de la Torre, who is going to replace Weston McKennie for that red card. And kind of, the forward midfielders here are going to be Tim Weah, Reina, Pulisic, as they were in the match against Mexico. And I think he keeps Balogun, man. He might want to. I know Pepi scored, and Pepi played well in his 15-minute cameo, but it's Balogun. His first two matches, he'll start him in the final for sure. Um, and let's see if Balogun can get on the score sheet. For Canada, I think they're going to play a similar formation as they played against Panama, 4-4-2. Um, a similar lineup. Borjan in the goalie position, Johnston right back, Miller center back, Vitoria center back, and Adekubi left back. Jonathan David kind of as a left wing. He'll play Davies, Jonathan Davis, or what's his name, Alfonso Davies,
Alfonso Davies.
who didn't start, but I think he'll definitely start this match in lieu of probably Coney. I think it's Coney. He'll also start Laria and Estaquio. I probably butchered that name.
Eustaquio.
Estaquio, yeah. And then he'll for forwards he'll probably keep who he had before, Larin and Buchanan up front. Yeah, probably just two changes to what he played against Panama.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So Panama obviously won the World Cup qualifying for the previous World Cup. They were the top of the hexagonal there. They're playing with a lot of confidence and seems to be a team that is not afraid to talk trash and to. I know you're a fan of Clyde Lauren there.
No.
But this the only loss that the USA has suffered in the Nations League, obviously barely the second iteration of the Nations League, came last October 15, 2019 in a 2-0 loss to Canada. So, these are two teams that ultimately in the last 4 or 5 years have been going back and forth between each other.
Yeah.
Canada
Mhm.
ultimately winning up there in the Great White North. The USA usually, for the most part, winning in the United States or drawing. I don't think they've lost to Canada since the '60s in in the United States. So, yeah, man. What do you think of these lineups? And do you think Canada can pull off, even though they're playing well and they won the qualifying for the previous World Cup? I still think if they win this, it would be an upset. Do you think they can pull this upset? And do you still consider the United States favorites in this match?
So well, first of all, I think the USMNT lineup is strong. I mean, I know they're losing McKinney and Sergio Dest, but we've been discussing this for a while now. The USMNT, if the USMNT is strong in one area, is in depthness. I think Joe Scally is more than capable to replace Sergio Dest. What of course you lose something with Sergio Dest, right? So you might be losing speed and some sort of like creativity with the feet of having Sergio Dest out. But what you win with Joe Scally is more discipline, same level of pace, but I think he's more defensive minded, right? So it's a give or take situation. I think Sergio Des worked with Mexico because Mexico was pretty much weak on that specific flank, and I think Joe Scally is a good option because Canada will not be as weak in that specific area, which I don't think it would allow. I don't think Canada would allow Sergio Des to move forward as much as he did with Mexico. So I think Joscal is a good option here. And then Luca de la Torre. I mean, I think it's a hombre por hombre kind of change, right? Luca de la Torre is pretty much taking the same spot as McKinney. You lose some power without having McKinney, and you lose a leader on the pitch. But I think Luca de la Torre will do a decent job. I mean, he's been playing okay with Celta de Vigo, and I don't expect him to be, trailing behind his teammates. So overall, I think it's a strong lineup for the USMNT. As far as the Canadian lineup, I was surprised to see Alfonso Davies on the bench against Panama. I just feel that they were so confident they were going to win that match that they just decided to bench him because we all know that he's the star player of the team. I also think that he should be starting for this match because it's the toughest match they're going to have for the Nations League, and they better have their A team ready for it. It's a decent squad. I think it's the same squad they've been playing for the last 3 years. Um,
Yeah,
and,
more or less their
and
World Cup squad.
and just like the USMNT, they have been playing for a while now, and I think that's where these two teams match up. Is that compared to Mexico and the other Central American nation teams, is that the Canadian and the USMNT have done some one thing good, and that thing is ensuring that this pool of players, whether if it's just the roster that they have for these Nations League for these Nation League matches, or for their B team or C team, they all know how they know exactly what style of play you're gonna be performing out there on the pitch. They know exactly how to move. They understand what the coach is looking for, as is gonna ask them for. And even if you pull out someone like Santigimenez and you throw in Joe Scally, or you remove Miles Robinson and you put someone I don't know, Zimmerman on it, they already know what's the expectation. And so I think this is where these teams level up. Now, I feel the USMNT still has the slight advantage over Canada just because of the amount of talent that the USMNT has. I mean, if you remove Balogun, you have Pepi over there. If you take away Musa, you have Cardoso. So I don't think Canada has that luxury of removing Clyde Larin and have a player on the bench that has the same performance level as Clyde Larin, right? Or Buchanan, or even Alfonso Davies. I mean, I think what they have on their starting 11 is the best team they have available, and their options on the bench aren't necessarily as strong as the USMNT, right? So I think that's where I see the biggest difference between these two teams, and that's why I think the USMNT has the slightest advantage over on this specific match.
Yeah, well put. If this match does end up going the length of extra time and
Hmm.
penalties, definitely the depthness of the United States squad can come into play here. I also think that the attackers for both teams are can have a field day in this match. Obviously, I think the USA back four is better than than Canada's back four, but Jonathan David and Alfonso Davies are probably the two best players on the pitch. Debatable between Pulisic. Obviously, Pulisic's coming in from a great matchup against Mexico, and but not a not so great season in Europe. But Jonathan David and Alfonso Davies, along with Clyde Larin and Buchanan, are gonna have a time attacking the back four of USA,
I
which
mean,
is why I think it's important that Joe Scally. It could be a blessing in disguise because Joe Scally is more of a defender than Dest, while Dest likes to go forward more.
precisely.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
interrupted you. What were you gonna
No,
say?
no, no. I just wanted to add to your comment saying that Clyde Larin, Jonathan Davis, Alfonso Davis, they all play regularly with their clubs. So
Yeah.
I think that's why you can say arguably they're probably the best informed players on the pitch. But I mean, screw Canada, dude. I don't like I don't like Canada whatsoever. I don't have anything against them. It pisses me off that they have maybe what 3 good years so far in their history, and now they think they're the top dog in Concacaf. Get out of here, man. It takes a while to become the top dog in Concacaf.
Yeah, the USA has been trying for years and years, and they finally look to be there. But at the same time, I think Weah, Reina, Pulisic, and Balogun can have a field day attacking
Yeah.
Vittoria and Miller.
Hmm.
They had their way with the Mexican defense, who's playing the back line of five. And arguably, I'd say the Mexican defense, even though they didn't show it that match, are better than these back four that Canada has. So this can be this could be a good day for the USA as well, and for BJ Callahan. On a side note here, now that it's been confirmed that Triple G Gregg Berhalter is coming back, do you think this will affect some of the players who were kind of not his quote unquote biggest fans, i.e., Gio Reyna, Ricardo Pepi? Do you see them kind of going to be playing with that, in their mind? Do you think that will affect them, or they're just here in the match saying, this is just another match for us. We'll deal with the Triple G thing when that gets here.
I want to think that all of these players knew in the back of their head that even though all this controversy happened with Triple G, that he was still, en route to be, I guess, to have a contract extension, right? I think there was no doubt that that was the USSF intention before this whole Arena happened. Sorry, this Arena situation happened. So I think that very deep in their minds, they knew this could be a specific situation. So I feel that Rio Reina and Pepi will take this as, hey, I'm gonna try to do my best to show you that you were wrong on not playing me, or not taking me to Qatar and not playing me in and out on all those matches in during the World Cup. Um, and I really expect, I really hope that more than Gio Reyna and Pepe, I think the one who needs to come to terms is Triple G, right? Understanding the mistakes that he made and understanding that at this point in time, even though you have a good pool of players for the USMNT, you don't have, sorry, Gio Reyna and Pepe are two players that have a huge talent ceiling that you cannot afford to, sideline. So I really hope that it doesn't affect Gio in any way or Ricardo Pepi, because Gio had he had a field day against Mexico. And if anything, I think he could be just so hyped up that this news doesn't really matter to him right now. He just want to face Canada, go beat it, and just move on. Because I think after this, none of them are playing on the Gold Cup, right?
Yeah, no, it's a completely different squad.
So to me,
Yeah.
it's like, look, I'm just gonna take I'm gonna take a trophy home and then fly out and enjoy my vacation, dude. I'll deal with Triple G whenever whenever he calls me up.
Next time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, good point. Before we give our score predictions, there was one more little interesting tidbit I found here that I didn't know about until the Canada Panama game. That Phil Neville, the Inter Miami, ex coach, is the assistant coach for Canada. So I found that funny. The Nevilles aren't the best of coaches. We realized with Phil and Gary Neville. So
Dude, it makes sense. Canada's coach is a clown, so why not hire another clown, right?
I guess so, man. Real quick, man, as we wrap up this video, I want to get some score predictions. Who do you got for this final, man?
I think it's gonna be a tough, close match. I'm gonna stick with the USMNT because F. Clyde Lyron, dude, you're gonna get your ass checked. The USMNT is gonna beat your ass, and you're gonna go back to reality. So I think the USMNT is gonna take it 2-1.
Yeah, I'm also thinking 2-1. Close match. I don't see extra time on this one. I think it's just gonna be a 90-minute match, grudge match. But yeah, 2-1 United States. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode, man, where can our listeners find us, dude?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Lastly but not least, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yeah, make sure to follow us and drop a comment below. Let us know your predictions, score-wise, who you got winning this thing. And yeah, if you haven't, let us know about Mexico. What are your thoughts on their current situation?
Mm-hmm.
Can it get any worse for them before it gets better? Love to hear from you guys for sure. There, man, another great episode here with you, brother. Catch you at the match, watching the match, and we'll be giving our 6 things we learned after. So see you then, man.
Always a pleasure, my guy. Take it easy.
Likewise. See you, bro.